All right. So here we are. It's been over a month since I released an episode. I'm going to be updating you guys on some stuff today, and this one will be audio only because I want to focus just on the talk. I realized that when I do audio and video all the time, I'm limited, meaning that I have to look nice. I have to make sure that the camera and the lights are all on. I have to make sure that it just takes a lot of setup. So I'm intentionally choosing to do more audio and video here and there. And I think most of you probably just listen to the audio anyway, because you're more than likely driving. And if you're driving, you shouldn't be watching any videos. So I think maybe 50 to 70% of my podcast episodes moving forward are going to be audio only. And maybe I'll still record them, because the reason I do it, guys, if everybody here is curious why this is such a big deal, right? Instead of just, hey, just do whatever's right for you. I analyze everything. Now, there's a difference between analyzing everything and over-analyzing. Don't confuse the two. Over-analyzing is analyzing the one thing over and over and over again until you basically are in analysis paralysis. You don't know what to do. You don't know what decision to make. You feel like you're stuck, right? And I don't do that. I don't analyze everything until the point where I'm analyzing the one thing over and over again. I just analyze everything. Now, what does that mean? It means that everything I analyze just once. You see, like, we have given this idea of the word analyze as a bad thing. Don't. You decide what the word means to you. You decide if analyze means one thing to you or if it means something else. And to me, the word analyze just means think about critically. Think about critically. What will be the benefit or what will be the non-benefit of if I do or if I don't do this? So I analyze everything, guys. And analyzing is not a bad thing. Over-analyzing the one thing and you reach analysis paralysis and you refuse to make a decision and you put off something big in your life because you want to overanalyze the one thing, that is a bad way of overanalyzing or analyzing in general. So back to my point. The reason why it's such a big deal that I'm going to mostly do audio podcast instead of video and audio is because every chance that I get to record video as well as audio is another chance for me to be able to upload that piece of content in a shorter version onto YouTube or TikTok or Instagram as a 1-minute soundbite that will hopefully intrigue you enough to come and listen to the podcast, that will hopefully bring you in as a follower, hopefully will be something that inspires you, changes you, something. It does something inside of you. But I'm realizing that because I have this idea that I want to be able to share all of my messages as often as possible, and I want to do it in a format that allows me to share my message as many times as possible, I'm actually working backwards when I have that mentality. Why? Let me explain. And stay with me here. I promise you I'm going somewhere with this. Because I had this need to share everywhere, subconsciously I learned that I wouldn't remember the things that I wanted to share. That I had this one idea, and if I didn't record it right there and then, I didn't put it out to the world, I would lose it. So therefore, I would feel like I have to capture it because it won't come back again. And that's a scarcity mindset. That's me not loving myself. That's me not trusting myself. That's me not believing in myself, believe it or not. You could say, well, it's not. You're optimizing. Okay, but what are you optimizing for? Because what I'm optimizing for is having the best life possible. And how can I have the best life possible if I can't record a podcast whenever I want to record a podcast just because I think that past me is going to control present me and not allow me to remember this again? So to me, that's a scarcity mindset. So what I am optimizing for is an amazing life, the best life that I can have, which means I want to record episodes whenever I want to record episodes. And I also trust myself enough to know that I'm going to remember what I want to talk about so that I can make it in another form later on. Now, why is this important? Why is Juan talking about, the third person? I said it. It sounded weird as soon as I said it. Why is Juan talking about either his podcast being in video or audio or this or that. Why does this matter to me? I'm going to explain why. This episode is going to be a love letter to myself. This episode will only be possible if I remove the video format, which means it is very important. That's why I analyzed it enough to realize that if I had this want to update everybody on my life over the past month, if I had this want to share some things that happened to me, if I had this want to say things to people that I know need to hear them, and I'm limiting myself in doing that, because I have to make sure that it's video and audio, my want will not be fulfilled. So what got me here will not get me there. I had to do all the video podcasts to get the attention that I got, to say the things that I had to say, to believe on myself, to know that I had to have an opinion, to get to the point where I'm at right now, where I have what people would deem or call controversial opinions, when it's just an opinion that I have based on a belief system that I believe. It's controversial because society says it is, not because it is in and of itself controversial. And maybe it is controversial, because what does controversial mean? Controversial means that it is the contrary. It goes against society. It is a contrarian mindset, if you will. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to just go with society. I am the black sheep. I know that I'm different. I know that I am weird. But what if I'm not? Like, what if I'm not weird? What if this is the way that we're actually supposed to live in life? What if we're supposed to go into the military because we had some shit in our childhood? Or what if we're supposed to go to college to discover ourselves? What if we're supposed to do certain things and go through certain things in life so that we can come out of it on the other side and work on ourselves to the point where we don't feel like that was the only thing that we did? What if we're supposed to go through all this? What if this is actually what should be normal? But everybody else is afraid to do this, and they're afraid, not because they're weak, not because they can't, but because they don't know how. Nobody taught them. Society hasn't opened up the world to that. It just hasn't happened. So that's why I have the opinions that I have. That's why I did everything that I had to do to get here. But what got me here will not get me there, which means that today's podcast, I'm going to tell you guys all the things that I said I was going to tell you. I'm going to explain a few things that I think are very important. I'm going to stick to the subject because now, guess what? For the first time ever, as an adult, I feel like my ADHD is under control. I know exactly where I'm at. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not concerned about the past right now. I am very present. I am so present that I honestly feel like for the first time ever, I truly see the world for what it is. And that's something beautiful. So let's get started. What are we talking about today? What I want to talk to you guys about today is what my life has been over the past 2 months. I want to talk to you guys what my life was before that. I want this to be an episode where not only do you get to maybe relearn or learn my story for the first time, but I get to say it out loud for the first time since I've been in a different place than I was before. And if you are a veteran, or if you're not a veteran, or if you know someone that served, or if you know someone that's going through a hard time right now and needs to hear some of these words that I've been saying, I think the intro is enough to show you that this episode is going to be very impactful in your life, possibly, or in the life of someone that you love. So send them this podcast and just trust me right now, because you've trusted me before, because you've been listening to me. And trust me right now when I tell you that I want you to send this podcast to the 1 or 2 or maybe 3, maybe, people in your life, veterans or not, women or men, young or old, that need to hear some words that are going to explain to them what is possible for them in the future, especially if they are in a very bad place right now, especially if they think they're in a bad place, but they just have to go through it. And maybe you see that for them and you just don't know what words to use because you're not supposed to. It's hard. This is hard. Trust me, this isn't something that comes easy to me. It takes a lot of ego destroying, ego controlling, and confidence in myself while being brave enough and having courage to be disliked. And I'm not saying that you can't achieve that. I'm saying not everybody needs to. Because if there's people like me, people like other men and women who are willing to say some of these things to people that need to hear them, your role, the thing that you need, the thing that you're brave enough to do is to share it. So think about the 1, 2, maybe 3 people in your life, persons, men, women, whoever, that need to hear this message, and then send them the link to this podcast and tell them how important it is for them to hear this. But don't tell them by saying, hey, you need to hear this. Say, I need you to hear this. And then call in that one favor that they owe you. Tell them how many times you went to the movies with them. Tell them how many times you listened to their stories, and tell them, I have been here for you through all of it. And I've been there for you all the time. The only favor that I'm asking is for you to listen to this episode from start to end. And if somebody sent this to you, this is the point where I want you to understand that whoever sent this to you, God damn it, they love you so much. So pause the episode and send them a message and just say, I'm listening to it. And then at the end of this episode, you're going to send them another message, and I won't even have to remind you. You will do it on your own, I promise you. So again, I'm going to be talking about my life in a different way. I'm going to be talking about the last couple of months and what's changed. I'm going to be talking about the VetRise Summit that we just did. And I'm going to be talking about my role as a father. And I'm also going to be talking to you about love for oneself and love for a person, because I am in a relationship, a healthy relationship, for the first time probably in my entire life. And I want to share that with all of you, especially if you feel like love is something that you have to wait for, or you will never have, or you don't deserve. And by the way, if it's any of the first reasons, it's because you feel like you don't deserve it. It always comes down to that, believe it or not. And sometimes it's subconscious. We don't even realize that we think we don't deserve happiness. We have just chosen it a long time ago. So let's dive in, shall we? Over the past 2 months, I'm going to start here because I want to give you the frame of mind over the past 2 months, because I want to show you what's possible. And I'll show you what I had to go through to get here. And I'm going to explain to you that it's not in spite of, it's actually because of I went through all that to get to here. It was the only way. There was no other option. So over the past 2 months, I have had this huge spike up in internal just understanding, internal self-awareness, internal realization, internal just finding out who I am. Over the past 2 months, I have had a chance to connect with my clients on a deeper level. I've had a chance to connect with myself on a deeper level. I don't do everything all the time anymore. I don't feel like I'm running out of time. I don't feel like I'm going to forget to do certain things. I don't feel that way anymore. And I felt that way for a long time. Because I thought that my ADHD controlled me. I thought that I had to do everything at once. I had to have a million Post-it notes everywhere. I thought that I had to eat my food and watch a TV show and work out and message clients and send DMs and be in my bed trying to sleep, because I had to build this business that I was building. And I did. You see, I thought that I had to, therefore I did. Now, that might sound super philosophical to you. Like, what is philosophy really, guys? Philosophy is something that we're scared of, or we don't know enough about, or we like it, or we think it's one thing or this thing. And it's just, in my opinion, it's the understanding of life. Like, everyone has a personal philosophy. They just don't label it that. And your personal philosophy is what you believe to be true. And if you can change your personal philosophy, what you believe to be true will change. So my personal philosophy has been that this huge spike that I've had in that up curve of progress only has happened because everything that I did that many people, including myself, used to or would consider a mistake had to have happened for me to get to where I'm at right now. I had to have stayed up till 2, 3 in the morning making videos, trying to figure out how to post on Instagram, trying to figure out how to coach my clients, trying to figure out how to better serve them, trying to figure out how to hire employees, how to run a business, how to quit my job while I'm going through a divorce and the police are being called on me. And I ignored and neglect my, and this is so hard to say out loud because as I say it, I don't even believe it. All right, let's pause. All right, let's go through an experience together. All right, so right now I'm talking about the life that I had to go through to get to where I'm at, and I'm talking about the big breakthroughs that I've had. But if you're listening to this episode, you're about to get to experience something really cool that is what a lot of my clients just experienced from August 14th to the 18th, 14th to the 17th, excuse me. And at the VetRise Summit, I forget the dates it was exactly. It was Thursday to Friday last week. At the VetRise Summit, I got to teach, preach, share, mentor, coach, guide, like counsel 15 of my clients, 15 of the people in my program that have believed in me enough to pay money, to pay for their tickets, to pay for the event, to come out and stay with me at the event that we did a retreat. And at this event, we did a lot of work. And the work that we did, it had a lot to do with changing your personal philosophy. But I didn't say to them when we started that this is about philosophy. This is about changing your belief system. This is about changing the way that you see the world, because I believe that when you change the way that you see the world, you change the way that the world sees you. When you start looking at the world through a more positive lens, through having hope, through knowing that anything is possible for you, through knowing that you can achieve and find love, all these things come to you because now you don't look for that fight. Now you're not looking for that argument. Now you're not looking for something or someone to piss you off just so you can get angry, so you can accept that you're not choosing the right decision, because then it's not your fault. So I didn't say that, hey, this is about philosophy. This is about changing your belief system. I just told them this is what you are here for. And by the end of it, you will have a breakthrough, and it might not even be the one that you thought you would have. And a lot of them, they got to experience themselves go through that mental OODA loop. And that OODA loop, which we learned in the military, which still applies, which, by the way, was developed very specifically by someone that saw the need to understand the mind and be able to explain it simply to the military so that they could share it with the military members. Observe, orient, decide, act. Observe. Observe is something that we use in the military. Orient, decide, act. All of this was taught to us so that we knew how to apply it in military operations. But I want you to understand, you can apply it in life too. Observe. Observe the fact that something that someone is saying to you is giving you some sort of physical response in the body, or your mind is changing, or you feel emotions. You're observing that something somebody said to you. For example, me telling someone the story about the reason why I take my son to the lake and the beach and go in the water with him is because my dad took me to the beach, but he wouldn't go in the water with me. And I was scared of drowning. So I made sure that when I take my son to the beach, I go in the water with him. But the only reason that I can't take my son to the beach is because my dad took me to the beach to learn the lesson of knowing that I want my dad in the water with me. And the reason my dad could not get in the water with me is because no one even ever took him to the beach. You see, my dad couldn't because he didn't know how, because all he did was already do more than his dad did for him. My dad already did more than his dad ever did for him. And I share this little story with you, this little snippet, this little metaphor, this little poem that I heard somewhere, this little story, parable, fable, because I want you to understand what I mean by observe. Observe that the story that I told you, something that I said, it made you question your own personal philosophy. It made you question the fact that you have so much anger and hate towards someone in your life, and now you maybe understand them a little bit more. It doesn't mean that it's right. So let's go into the next O, orient. Orient yourself. It's not just about direction. Sometimes you know where you are and you know who you are, and you feel more found when you feel in reality the most lost. When you don't know where you're at on a map, sometimes that's when you feel the most like you are exactly where you're supposed to be at. So in the military, orient is similar, but it's also has a lot to do with the battlefield. I want you to stop thinking of your life as a battlefield. I want veterans to stop using military terms all the time because you're not in the military anymore. And I'm going to explain that a lot more. I've explained it before, but I'm going to take my time with it this time. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I will explain to you why it's important. So orient yourself and understand that it's not your fault and that it didn't mean that what someone did to you, maybe it's your uncle molesting you, maybe it's your girlfriend cheating on you, maybe it's your wife personally attacking you all the time and you think that she's a narcissist and she's hurting you. Maybe it's your dad never being there. Maybe it was the fact that your mom only could say, I love you when she was angry at you. Whatever it was, it happened to you, yes. And it might feel unfair. You might feel like it's not your fault. And you're right, it's not. But when you orient yourself, you understand that it's not your fault. And it's not that it's not their fault. They still did it. They still have to go through the consequences, not suffer, not pay for. They just have to go through the consequences. Whatever that consequence is, they just have to go through it. As you are going through consequences of your actions, based off what you learned when you were younger, based off what someone did to you. So your parents, your friends, your loved ones, whoever it is, they are going through the consequences and they will possibly lose you because that is okay to have as a rule, not a boundary, rule that you have for yourself. That you do not tolerate certain things in your life. That just because somebody poisoned you doesn't mean that they are going to be the person that can save you. You got to find the antidote somewhere else sometimes. But it just means forgiving and forgetting and letting go, moving on, not allowing that traumatic event to be the one thing that continues to be the reason why you can't find love in life, because right now it may very well be that. Forgiving and forgetting and moving on. It doesn't take away the fact that it happened. It doesn't mean that it's any less of a story. It just means that you have bigger and better stories ahead of you that if you don't make room for, you can't write them. You can't find the love of your life. If you keep saying that you don't trust men because your first husband cheated on you with 4 or 5 women, one of them was your best friend, you can't keep saying and telling that story and over again, even if it's not to people, but to you, because we don't say it to people because we don't want people to feel sorry for us. But I promise you, when you tell that story over and over to yourself, you are feeling sorry for yourself subconsciously and consciously. And telling that story to yourself isn't just out loud, it's in your head as well. And that might be the reason why you can't find love. And not because you're not looking for it, but because it won't present itself to you until your subconscious believes that you deserve it. And you will never subconsciously believe that you deserve love if you keep telling a story over and over again of how someone cheated on you for 4 or 5 times. Because when you repeat that story and over again, the only thing the subconscious hears is that this person didn't love you. They didn't choose you, that you weren't enough, that they had to cheat on you. And it's not true. That's their shit. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. That is because maybe that man was never loved, and all he had to look for was love in the wrong places for the wrong reasons. And when he found someone like you, it scared the hell out of him, so he had to self-sabotage. You see, not only do we not know, but it doesn't matter because it's not for us to heal. We cannot heal that person's trauma. We can decide that maybe we are a part of their story, but 2 people that are in bad places or one that is in a bad place cannot heal by using or abusing someone else. He has to do that on his own, or she. And if you agree with that, and I know that you do, then you also have to agree with the fact that if you cannot heal that person, then it was never your fault to begin with. There's nothing that you could have done differently. This person did not choose other people. They just couldn't choose themselves. So it's not that no one ever chooses you. It's just that you had to go through that to learn how to value yourself in a higher way so that your heart can really understand that you do deserve love. You've always deserved love. And that you're open to it. It's not about looking for it. It's about just being open to it. And if you don't believe that, I will have a very, very amazing, interesting story to tell you guys at the end of this conversation. And it will be about how I found love. That's coming. So orient. You are orienting the fact that just because it's true doesn't mean that it didn't happen to you. Just because you are understanding that your parents or somebody else or whatever went through this, you're observing these things, you need to orient it and understand that that doesn't mean that you did something wrong or that you were wrong or that you weren't chosen. Decide that this will no longer be the story that you tell yourself. This will no longer be the narrative. You do not have to have a story that you tell yourself of why you can't. You also do not have to have a story that you tell yourself of why you can. You see, I'm not contradicting myself where I tell you this, because in the past, I've always told you everyone has to have a story to go through to get to where they're at. I'm telling you that you have to have all of that so that one day you can accept this. But if you want to get here faster, then understand that this step that I am on, that I'm trying to share with you, is the most important step. It's the one that you get here faster. I promise you, you will beat me to the finish line, because I will help you run faster from the start. But I had to go through all of that to get to where I'm at. I had to tell myself that that story that I had of the fact that I had a childhood that wasn't the best, because my dad was always working and my mom got sick and she had to get a liver transplant and she almost died. And I never knew about this. And I found out about this recently, that she thought she was going to die so much that's why we went to live in Mexico for 1 year, because she wanted to spend one last year with her family to say goodbye to them, because she thought she was going to die. Can you imagine that? My father having to say goodbye to his wife, and his kids, knowing that he's only going to see his kids again one day. And he has to stay in the United States to work to make that trip financially possible for my mom and me and my brother and my sister for 1 year, because he believes that his wife is going to die, which means he had to say goodbye before she left to Mexico for that year, because we lived in Mexico for 1 year and I didn't know why when I was 10 years old. And my mom did this thinking she was going to die. She also had to say goodbye to the man that gave her children to the love of her life. And I know that he was the love of her life. And I know that he is, because they wouldn't be together had they not gone through all these things. You see, they met by chance. But in my opinion, nothing is by chance when it turns out the way that it has turned out for them. Now, I tell you this story about my parents because they were both at the event as attendees. And they were both there to be not my parents in the moment. They were there to take in value and listen to me, not as their son, because I wanted them to know that I was okay. I wanted them to know that I was okay. I wanted them to know that they could let me be free, and I wanted them to be free. And they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that for a while. Then they finally did. And they finally did, because I've showed them where I'm at. So where am I at? Where am I at right now? So I am in a better place because I know how amazing my life is going to turn out. I know that my life has not only gotten so much better because of all the work that I've done, but it's because I am going to make my life better every day. And I'm not slowing down. So let's talk about that OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. When you decide that none of the things that happen in your life, the story that you've been living, the fact that these things happen to you, when you decide that they no longer control you, when you decide that they will not be the reason why you will be able to push past them and get to where you want to get, but it's because of everything that you've been through that now you get to. You see, being present means that your past is irreplaceable, which means that it's not about being proud or using it as motivation or saying that everything I've been through is the only reason why I'm doing this and I will use that as my fire. It means stopping and realizing that it doesn't matter how many times you repeat that story of yourself to your past. Eventually, it has to die as your internal inspiration, motivation to do the thing. When you decide that your story is no longer the most valuable piece of your internal fire, you can decide that you're doing it for yourself, for your future, for your children, for your wife, for your husband, which maybe you haven't even met yet. And when you look at your past and understand that it is irreplaceable, which means you cannot replace any of it, it means that no matter how many times you try and tell your story over and over again, that story, it's not going to change. The way that you look at it changes. The perspective that you have on what happened to you changes. You become grateful. Not that you went through things, but you become grateful that you have been able to learn from them. Life is going to continue to throw things at you all the time because the universe wants to test you. The universe, whatever you believe in, whatever is out there for you, it wants you to rise. It wants you to get larger than you are. It wants you to stop playing small. It wants you to believe that more is possible for you. So therefore, it challenges you. It throws stuff at you. First failed marriage. Second failed marriage. I lost my purpose because I wanted to be a scout sniper. And when I did that, because in my childhood, my parents were always working, and I rebelled when I was 15 because we moved into a new house and I lost my girlfriend and the friends that I had at the time. And then I ended up going to 4 different high schools, selling marijuana. I used to sell weed when I was in high school. I used to be involved in gangs. I was a freaking gang member. And when my parents moved us to Bolingbrook, like, I rebelled. I hung out with the wrong people. I got into the wrong shit. Why? Because I didn't know anybody there. I wasn't accustomed to all these well-off kids. I didn't grow around that. So I didn't understand it. And there was all these clubs and all these kids that were dressed so nice, and they were just so much more equipped for life than I was. There was all these clubs, all these things. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't. So I rebelled, and I did what I thought I had to do. So I didn't know these things. And that's why I rebelled when I was changing high schools. So I was involved in a lot of shit when I was going through high school. And as I got older and I went through the divorces, and I went to Afghanistan and got shot at and lost friends and was trying to figure out who I was and tried to fit in with my platoon in the Marine Corps. And I always felt like I never fit in. And this isn't a sob story. This is me telling you that maybe you felt this way as well. You just never knew how to say it aloud. And I never felt like I fit in. Why? Because I had ADHD when I was younger. I was never diagnosed. I was always trying to be the class clown. I sucked at certain subjects, and I would lie and say that I cheated whenever I actually did really good on a placement test, just so my friends wouldn't think that I am good at certain things. Because I want to be liked. I don't want to be different, because I feel so different already. So I went into the military, and I tried to fit in, and I didn't know how either. But I fit in a lot more with myself than I had ever had before. I felt like I knew who I was more than ever before, because I had structure. I had routine. I had consistency in my life, and I liked who I was then a little bit more than I did before. So it wasn't about me fitting in with other people. It was about me finally like knowing and understanding myself and my body a little bit better and feeling confident in it. And I got out, and then I went through everything that we go through as veterans, and I got married right away. I moved in with this girl because she was the first woman that showed me love, which means someone must love me. I must deserve love, right? And then there's a lot more to the story, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you the entire story today, because I think that story is a story that deserves its own podcast. Each story probably does. Maybe even its own book. Decide. When you decide that your past, your story, everything that you've been through, the divorce, the leaving your career of 10 years as a police officer where you were buying heroin undercover as a cop on the west side of Chicago, everything you ever worked for, when you decide to leave all that, you understand that that will no longer be the thing that controls you, which means anything is possible. Everything is possible. You can decide to change your life tomorrow. You can decide that tomorrow you stop. You can decide that tomorrow you stop using that as a reason of why you can't wake up on time. And that's why you stay up late. That's why you don't actually put your phone on the charger outside your room. You can decide to change your life. That's what I teach. That's what I do. And I promise you, if you want that lesson, turn on notifications and listen to every episode that I release moving forward, because I'm going to be going into that much more in depth now that I've analyzed it, and I'm not going to only do video episodes. You see, now I can give you more value, which means you need to make sure you download, turn on, subscribe, share this episode so that I can keep doing this, because the numbers will go up and we get more clients and I have more time to do this. Help me grow so that I can help you grow. And I say that knowing that it is not out of ego or selfishness or scarcity, because I know I'm going to grow. I know that I will be on stage speaking in front of thousands of people one day. I know it. Not out of arrogance, but in opinion of myself and confidence, because I can, which means you can. Anyone can. It's just a choice to do that. It's a choice. So share it. I will have more time to do more stuff like that. I will explain to you what it means to actually change your life and learn how to make sure that you go to the gym, do your workouts, eat the right foods, remove people from your life that don't deserve to be there anymore, and change your life. Decide that you're going to do it. You can decide to have a different life. You can decide to start living differently, but you have to act on it. OODA loop. You have to act on it. And to act on it, you don't need the best plan. You don't need to know how to build your business, or how to start this, or how to do that. You just have to decide that your story isn't the reason why you won't do it anymore. I can't teach you how to build the best business, but I can tell you why it's important. And if you want to do that for the next 3 months, you got to go into a different lifestyle by changing your philosophy, by knowing that this is possible for you. And today is more of a teaser, because I want to tell you guys what I'm going to be doing for the next 7 days is I'm going to be releasing one episode every day. And I'll be talking about different things. I'll be talking about love. I'll be talking about the updated veteran mindset. I'll be talking about the event. I'll be talking about your approach to life, why you do deserve love, why as a veteran you got to undo a lot of the shit that the military taught you to be able to let go and really change your life. I have a lot of things I want to say, and I'm going to say them. So if you want to be on this journey with me for the next 7 days, tune in. I will be releasing one episode every day. And if you listen to the entire 7-part series, I want you to send me a message and let me know. And if you want to get more of this, you know where to find me. And now at this point in the episode, if somebody sent you this episode, I want you to send them a message and say thank you, whatever comes to you. Because obviously this episode helped you in one way, shape, or form. Now it's your turn to send it to somebody else. Observe the things that are in your life that are happening. Orient yourself by understanding that not everything is your doing and you can't change, and decide that it is no longer your story, and then you have to act on it. And I can't tell you all of it today, but I can give you a teaser of what the rest of the week will look like. One episode every day. Part 1 starts today. Thank you for being here.